My secret crush on Ethan was exposed to the entire campus. It all started with my sketchbook, which ended up on the lost and found board. Every page was filled with sketches of him. I heard his family was struggling, so I seized the opportunity, added him on WeChat, and asked him to be my model. He agreed instantly, and it wasn't until the next day that I realized my sketchbook was missing. By the time I found out, the post on the university forum had already garnered thousands of comments. Half the school was speculating about the sketchbook's owner, while the other half was gushing over Ethan's looks. The original poster had attached a picture of the first page. It was captioned, "Screaming. The law department's heartthrob is a campus god. This face is just too perfect." The drawing showed him in profile. Neat dark hair, a smooth jawline, and a high nose. There was a tiny beauty mark at the corner of his eye, making him look both clean-cut and impossibly alluring. Even in a simple sketch, his beauty was undeniable. The comments poured in. Whoever drew this must be completely obsessed with Ethan. I buried my face in my hands, my fingertips burning. "Yes," I whispered to myself. "I am obsessed with Ethan." I'd fallen for him at first sight during our freshman military training. We were in the same year but different departments. He was in law and I was in fine arts. On the very first day of school, his striking good looks had made him an instant campus celebrity. I had been secretly crushing on him for a whole year. And now, before I could even confess, the entire school knew my secret. I pulled on a hat and a face mask, intending to secretly retrieve my sketchbook, but my mind went blank when I learned it was already gone. "Who took it?" I asked the student on duty, a friend of a friend. He gave me a knowing smirk. "No fewer than 10 people have tried to claim it since yesterday, so we decided to give it to Ethan." "Who else? What right does he have to take it?" A question mark slowly appeared over my head. "Why, because it's full of drawings of him, obviously," he answered with mock righteousness. "Even though there's no name, it's pretty clear he has the most compelling reason to keep it. But he did leave his WeChat ID. He said if the owner came, they should contact him directly." I stared at the number, wanting to cry but no tears would come. Every girl at a university would kill for his WeChat ID, but who would dare to ask? I, for one, just wanted to die a dignified death by social awkwardness. After a moment of tortured thought, a plan formed. I would hire him as a model. I'd heard Ethan came from a humble background and often worked part-time. I'd seen him a few times at a coffee shop near campus. The tall, lanky boy was a living, breathing billboard just by standing there. I didn't even like coffee, but I had started hanging around the cafe, hoping to find a chance to get my sketchbook back. Yes, that's the plan. I took a deep breath and sent him a friend request. With all those "I love him" messages floating around on the school forum, I decided to take the initiative and add a bold note. I couldn't let him know the sketchbook was mine. "Hello. Are you interested in a part-time job as an art model?" He accepted the request in a second. Is this the power of money? The greeting he sent back made me dizzy for a moment, but his next question brought me back to reality. Fine arts. Those 2 words were a danger zone for me. My mind raced, imagining him looking through my book, filled with countless sketches of him. I couldn't imagine what he thought of the fine arts now. It was too embarrassing. Even though Ethan and I hadn't interacted much, I'd seen him countless times. His side profile during military training, his concentrated gaze in a lecture hall, his dark hair falling over his forehead as he handed a coffee to a customer. My sketchbook was filled with him. If only I were the only one who knew, it would be a romantic diary of a girl's secret crush. Now, it was a monument to my humiliation, a public spectacle. He probably thought I was some sort of a stalker. "Hello, Ethan. My name is Tracy. I'm in a hurry to find a model for my project. Would you be interested?" The pay I offered was generous, and he accepted without hesitation. We agreed to meet at the art studio at 3 p.m. to discuss the details. "Oh my gosh, Tracy, are you going on a date with Ethan?" My roommate and best friend, Chloe, jumped up from her bed, her eyes sparkling. "What are you talking about? This is a professional transaction. Besides, I have a much more important mission today. I have to find a way to get my sketchbook back, I said, but Chloe just gave me a knowing look. Right, of course. You'll be spending hours together. Isn't that basically a date? I wondered for the nth time how she ever got into this university. Still, it was my first real interaction with Ethan. I changed my outfit 3 times, practiced my lines in front of the mirror, and worked up my courage before heading out. When I arrived, Ethan was already there. He was a piece of art just sitting there. My heart started pounding. He turned, saw me, and stood up. "Tracy." I walked toward him with what I hoped was a graceful, professional smile, but it froze the next second. "Ethan, where's your backpack?" The tall, handsome boy stood before me, but he had nothing. Checked again, no backpack. "Why would I need one for a modeling session?" he asked, a slight arch to his eyebrow. "Oh, you're right." I gave a nervous laugh. "It's just I saw someone drawing a portrait of you, so I was curious. You know, a professional artist's curiosity." How could I have forgotten to tell him to bring the sketchbook? How was I going to get it back now? Ethan nodded in understanding, his eyebrow still raised. I gritted my teeth and set up the easel, resigning myself to a lost cause for today. Then his clear, cool voice broke the silence. Should I smile? My eyes were glued to his long, pale fingers resting on the second button of his white shirt. My mind went blank. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "Should I take it off?" he asked again. The boy I had a crush on was right in front of me, asking if he should undress. Couldn't take it. I averted my gaze, pretending to adjust my drawing pencil. Not yet. You're fine just like this," I said honestly. Just sitting this close to him was enough to make me faint. If he took off his shirt, I was sure to end up in the infirmary with a heart rhythm disorder. Ethan calmly nodded. "Okay." I had to admit, he was a true professional. He'd even thought about that. I was the one who was flustered. I took a deep breath, picked up my pencil and said, "Okay, I'm starting now." I was determined to show him my professional side. 10 minutes later, I regretted everything. Ethan was sitting right in front of me. The afternoon sun slanted through the window, outlining his beautiful face in a soft golden glow. But his eyes, when they met mine, were cool and distant. It was a tantalizing mix of intimacy and aloofness. Why was it so hot in early autumn? I fanned myself discreetly when he wasn't looking. This was the most agonizing afternoon of my life. Finally, it was over. "All right, Ethan, that's enough for today." I was about to find a way to bring up the sketchbook when a cup of bubble tea appeared in front of me. I looked up to see Ethan standing there. "It has ice. You seem to get hot easily." My heart thumped erratically. Did he get this for me? Good thing my heart didn't stop right there. Ethan's eyes fell on my terrible drawing, and he was silent for a moment. I quickly came up with an excuse. "My skill level isn't that high, so I invited you to help. I want to try to improve. If you don't mind, could you bring your sketchbook for me to look at next time?" I looked at him with what I hoped were sincere eyes. He finally nodded. "You're a dedicated student, Tracy." I pretended not to hear the underlying irony in his tone. "Thank you so much." I thought my plan was working perfectly, but then it started to rain. We were trapped in the studio. By the time the rain stopped, it was completely dark. We stood on the steps, watching the streetlights glitter on the wet pavement. "I can walk you back to your dorm," Ethan offered. I was about to refuse, but a recent construction project near the school made the path unsafe at night. "Okay, thanks," I said, trying to sound cool and calm. The walk back to my dorm felt incredibly long. I was so worried he could hear my frantic heartbeat. When we got to the dorm entrance, I was sad it was over so soon. I thanked him again and was about to mention the sketchbook when the dorm manager popped her head out. "Hey, student, stop chatting with your boyfriend. It's going to rain again. Hurry up and get inside." Froze. My mind was completely blank. All the other couples would stand there for ages and she wouldn't say a word. I just said one sentence and she dropped a bombshell. He's not my... I started to explain, but Ethan let out a sudden laugh, stopping my words in my throat. Why are you so flustered, Tracy? He asked. I'm not flustered. I'm not flustered at all, I retorted, putting down my easel. All the evidence of my crush on you is out there for everyone to see. I have nothing to hide. Chloe gave me a thumbs up. So, should I call your crush and ask him to give your sketchbook back? No, comrade Chloe, that's too hasty. We must be subtle. Besides, I have a progress report. The victory is within my grasp. Chloe looked at me, speechless. You haven't even seen the sketchbook once. When are you going to get it back? I was an optimist. He had agreed to bring it next time. It would be easy. But life isn't a fairy tale. The second modeling session arrived. I brought Chloe with me, hoping she could help me retrieve the book. Unfortunately, one of Ethan's classmates came by to borrow notes, and I watched helplessly as my sketchbook was handed over to him. He was flipping through it and suddenly paused at the last page. Hey Ethan, isn't this T for Tracy? He looked at me, a thoughtful expression on his face. I think you're Tracy, right? My heart leaped into my throat. The initial T was the only clue I had left in the book. Ethan also looked at me. Luckily, Chloe saved the day. T. Ethan's name has a T in it too, she exclaimed. The last characters of my name and his name had the same pronunciation in our language, so I had written the letter T. I was so close to being caught. Oh, right, the classmate named Ryan said with a sudden realization. He nudged Ethan. I told you, man. She totally has a crush on you. Ryan, you don't need the notes, just give me back the book, Ethan said, cutting him off. I need them. I'll fail this semester without them. Ryan immediately changed his tune. After that chaotic scene, Chloe's and my plan was in shambles. As she left, she gave me a sympathetic look. Seeing my misery, she decided to throw me a bone. You know, Ethan, the last sound in your name is the same as Tracy's. That's a huge coincidence. I regretted bringing her more than anything in that moment. The air in the studio became thick and strange. After failing to retrieve the book again, I decided to be direct. Ethan, you seem to care a lot about this sketchbook. He was surprisingly straightforward. It belongs to someone else. It's better if I can return it to her myself. His eyes drifted back to me. I heard you have a lot of connections in the fine arts department. Could you help me find the owner? The cruelest irony in the world is when the item you desperately want is right there, but you have to help its owner find it. No problem, I said, trying to look composed. To show my sincerity, I even posted a story on my socials. A picture of the last page of the sketchbook with a familiar T in black ink. The caption read, "Please help me find the owner of this sketchbook." Chloe saw it and was in awe. Tracy, the grill master who can chug a whole case of beer without getting drunk, is now a timid little bunny. All your courage disappears when he's around. What could I do? My courage melted away every time I was near him. Chloe had a very straightforward suggestion. He's your model now. If you can't get his heart, get his body. For a split second I was tempted, but I quickly shook my head. He was working so hard to make ends meet. I couldn't take advantage of that. Ethan seemed to genuinely need the money. To me, a small-time boss, he was an ideal employee. He never showed up late and was incredibly professional. Sometimes when I looked up, I'd catch his eyes and get the feeling that he had been looking at me too. His eyes were deep and narrow, with dark pupils and long lashes. His gaze was always so sincere. I couldn't handle it. The feelings I had buried deep down were growing too fast, and I was afraid I would lose control. Maybe I should just forget the sketchbook. I buried my face in my hands. It was all sketches of him anyway. I should just let him keep it. I couldn't take this anymore. Are you serious? Chloe held up her phone. The rumor is out that he's your model. There's a line of people waiting to ask him now. I was the first one. Nobody else was going to get him. But that was just my wishful thinking. So many people had a crush on Ethan. The school forum was on fire. and some were moving faster than others. My head started to throb when I saw Vivian, a girl from my department, blocking the entrance to the studio. Vivian and I had a strange rivalry. I was first in our department and she was second. We were often compared, and she was always openly competing with me. To make matters worse, she also had a crush on Ethan. "Hi Ethan. I'm Vivian." She was beautifully made up, her voice soft and sweet. "Could I invite you to be my model?" A beautiful girl speaking so gently. It would be hard for anyone to refuse. I stole a glance at Ethan, but his face was expressionless. He just pointed a finger at me. "Sorry, I'm her exclusive model." Even though I knew there was no special meaning behind his words, my face flushed a little. I also saw the smile on Vivian's face freeze. She quickly recovered. "I can pay you more." Ethan said nothing, but I could feel the temperature around him drop. His eyebrows furrowed slightly, a hint of impatience in his eyes. Vivian seemed to sense the shift, and her smile faltered. "Do I look like I have nothing else to do?" he said, his tone icy. 7 simple words shattered her last bit of confidence. Her face went pale, and she turned and ran off. I sat back down, my mind still trying to process what had just happened. "What are you thinking about?" Ethan's voice brought me back. I looked up, hesitated, then asked, "Vivian just now?" Ethan paused. "I don't know her. I don't know why she came." It sounded like he was trying to explain himself. I waved my hands frantically. No, I didn't mean to blame you. If someone offers you more money, you have the right to choose." "Tracy," he cut me off. I thought what I said was clear. But why? There was so much more money he could make. Ethan stared at me for a long time, then turned his gaze to the window. "You're not like them. This session is getting worse, not better. It's completely unwatchable." When Ethan came over to look at my drawing, I felt a rare sense of shame and looked down. "Yeah, drawing is hard." I was thinking about what he had said. "You're not like them," for the past few hours. There was no way I could focus on the drawing. He laughed softly. "Looks like my part-time job isn't over yet." He was standing so close, his voice a soft breeze in my ear. I kept my calm, said goodbye, and only after I turned the corner did I allow myself to touch my burning ear. Didn't that mean that Ethan just might like me a little too? "Do you still have any doubts?" Chloe stomped her foot in exasperation. "It's so obvious. Why don't you just ask him out?" "That wouldn't be right." After some thought, I came up with a middle ground solution. "I'll ask him out to dinner. With a little alcohol, my courage will come out. If the result isn't what I hope for, I'll pretend to be drunk and act like nothing ever happened." This time Chloe hesitated. "With your alcohol tolerance, faking being drunk might be a little tough." "Who are you talking about?" "I'll show you." I picked the right moment to ask Ethan out to dinner. We decided on a barbecue restaurant near the school gate. Chloe thought it was a terrible idea for our first time eating alone together, but I felt more at ease in a familiar setting. The owner greeted me with a huge smile. "The usual?" he asked. No, I'm with a friend this time," I quickly said. I didn't want Ethan to see the owner bringing out a whole case of beer for me. Ethan ordered a few dishes and handed me the menu. I ordered a couple of things and, to keep up my image, only 2 cans of beer. "Girls shouldn't drink when they're out," Ethan said. I smiled sweetly. "It's fine. I'm with you, aren't I?" He seemed surprised, then laughed, a playful arch to his eyebrow. "You trust me that much?" "Of course. You're Ethan after all." He opened a can with one hand and handed it to me. I ate a few bites, then took a sip, trying to figure out how to ask him my question without it being too obvious. "Ethan, there's something I've been wanting to ask you." "Hey handsome, can I get your WeChat?" A stylishly dressed girl walked over, smiling brightly. Ethan's face really was a magnet for girls. He politely declined. "Sorry." The girl finally noticed me, giving me a once-over before leaning closer to Ethan. "Do you have a girlfriend?" Ethan raised his eyes, his dark gaze fixed on me. Not officially. Still pursuing her. My heart jumped and I almost dropped my beer can. The girl pouted, unwilling to give up. Not officially means not yet. It's just a WeChat ID, what's the big deal? 3 guys with gold chains appeared behind her. Their tone aggressive. My sister wants your WeChat. It's an honor. Don't be ungrateful. Ethan's face turned to stone, but the guys didn't stop. One of them whistled at me. She's pretty too. Nice legs. Ethan punched him in the face. I screamed. Ethan. The brawl ended as quickly as it started. Ethan looked thin, but he fought with a decisive, ruthless efficiency. Half an hour later I was at a pharmacy, then dragged him to a quiet flower bed to treat his wounds. Under the dim streetlight, the scratches on his face looked even more stark. I said nothing, a mix of guilt and concern washing over me. It's just a small scratch, Ethan said, his voice calm. Those 3 got it much worse. I dabbed a cotton swab with disinfectant. He lowered his head to let me reach, and our safe distance vanished. I could see every one of his eyelashes. I could feel the cold autumn wind, but it was nothing compared to his warm breath. I stared at him, my heart hammering in my chest. Done, I said softly, forcing myself to look away. Yeah, he replied, but he didn't move. We were so close it felt like we were about to kiss. Just a little closer, and his lips, which looked so perfect for kissing, would be mine. My head was in the clouds. Ethan, I whispered, are you drunk? He paused, then asked, what do you think? He hadn't even touched the beer. I held my breath, looked him in the eye and thought, let's go for it. Just then, a fluffy Samoyed dog came running toward us. Oh no, I shrieked. I'm terrified of dogs. Ah! After the Samoyed's owner rushed over to apologize and pull his dog away, Ethan finally spoke. His voice a mix of helpless exasperation and amusement. Okay, he's gone now. I craned my neck to peek, confirming the white fluff ball was a safe distance away. I let out a sigh of relief, only to realize something far more mortifying. I was still hiding behind Ethan, my hands clamped tightly around his toned waist. I could feel the warmth and firmness of his abs through his thin shirt. Ethan slightly turned his head and whispered, I'm not lying to you, he's really gone. I know, but the problem isn't the dog, it's me. I jumped back 3 steps as if I'd been electrocuted. I'm so sorry. Ethan turned to face me. The creases from where I had gripped his shirt were clearly visible under the streetlight. My face flushed with guilt. I timidly reached out to smooth his shirt, but he caught my wrist. He raised an eyebrow and I wanted to cry. I really didn't have any ulterior motives. I saw how beautiful your muscles were, so I thought maybe you could take off your shirt next time. No, that's not what I meant. This was a disaster. It was too late to pretend to be drunk. I was just blurting out whatever came to mind. Confessing. Or sexually harassing him. I didn't know which was worse. Ethan suddenly laughed. I stared at him blankly. He gently tapped my forehead with his finger, his deep voice carrying a hint of laughter that was carried away by the autumn breeze. Tracy, why are you so timid? That night was probably the closest I had ever been to him. And I had completely wasted a golden opportunity. We were so close, just a thin veil between us, but I had retreated in cowardice. I buried my head in my hands. I hadn't gotten my sketchbook back, and I hadn't made any progress with him. On the contrary, I had made a complete fool of myself. I couldn't face him again. For the next 2 weeks, I made up every excuse imaginable to cancel our drawing sessions. Ethan didn't ask questions. Whatever I said, he agreed to. I should have felt relieved, but seeing "okay" in the chat box gave me a strange sense of emptiness. It wasn't right. He wasn't mine. Who was I to monopolize his time? But a crush isn't something you can control. My longing for him grew like a vine. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I dragged Chloe and some friends on an outdoor sketching trip, hoping to forget. We ended up at a coffee shop and of course ran right into Ethan. He was tall and lanky, with a cool and aloof aura. The moment our eyes met, I quickly looked away. The rumor that Ethan was my model had already spread. Chloe kept giving me knowing looks. I was so embarrassed I wanted to disappear. I had told him I had a seminar to go to, but here I was, caught in the act, with my easel still strapped to my back. It was a humiliating moment. I didn't dare look at him even once as he came to take our order. The group's chatter died down. Chloe nudged me. "Tracy, what do you want?" Before I could open my mouth, his familiar voice asked, "Orange juice, right?" I nodded in a panic, not realizing how strange his question was. Chloe leaned in and whispered, "Tracy, how does Ethan know you like orange juice?" I was stunned. I never told him. Chloe was also confused. Then what did he mean? I wanted to know too. When Ethan brought our coffee, I secretly looked at him. I hadn't seen him in what felt like forever. Why did he look even more handsome today? A friend who didn't know the full story between us joked, "Tracy, how come he only remembers what you drink? We had to order ourselves. This is your treat, right?" My face turned beet red. "Stop it. I'll pay. But before I could offer, Ethan spoke up. "It's my treat." The group fell silent for 3 seconds before bursting into laughter. I immediately stood up and pulled him aside, my voice low and anxious. "Ethan, what are you doing?" He leaned against a table. "What's wrong?" I took a deep breath, trying to be diplomatic. "You work so hard here, you shouldn't have to spend money on us." "Ethan, the new batch of coffee beans is here. You should take a look." A staff member came over and, seeing the two of us, immediately fell silent and retreated. I grabbed his arm. "Wait, what's going on?" Ethan nodded. "It's a little tough being both a manager and a part-time employee." That one sentence held too much information. I stared at him, dumbfounded. "He owns this place. Who told me his family was poor? And if he wasn't, why did he agree to be my model?" A suspicion flashed through my mind, and my heart hammered in my chest. The rest of the question got stuck in my throat. Ethan looked at me intently, a hint of a smile on his lips. "Tracy, you really don't know." The answer was right there in front of me, just waiting for me to reach out and touch it. But then the cafe door opened and a familiar voice rang out. I turned to see Vivian walking in with her friends. Her smile instantly vanished when she saw me and Ethan standing together. She composed herself in a matter of seconds. "Let's order." The staff member who had run off quickly returned. "What would you like?" Vivian lifted her chin. "I'd like that handsome guy over there to serve us." The staff member and I both fell silent. With so many people to choose from, she had to pick the boss. Ethan said calmly, "Sorry, I'm busy." Vivian's face stiffened. She glanced at me again, and a sudden smile appeared. "What's going on? Are you busy listening to a confession?" My intuition told me something was wrong, but before I could stop her, Vivian pointed at me with a knowing smirk. "Ethan, you don't know yet, do you? That sketchbook of yours, the one full of your drawings from the lost and found. It belongs to her." I had imagined a million ways Ethan would find out, but not this. "The last page has a T on it, I've seen it. It's hers." Vivian shrugged. "Tracy, it's one thing to secretly draw him, but to then invite him to be your model? What are you trying to pull?" The cafe fell silent. I didn't have time to argue with Vivian. One thought echoed in my mind. Ethan knows. What would he think of me? I squeezed my fingers together, trying to figure out how to explain, when I heard a soft laugh. Ethan leaned his head toward me, each word clear and deliberate. "Tracy, didn't you tell them I've been pursuing you?" Vivian didn't order anything. She probably never came back. I held the cold orange juice cup in my hands for a long time, my face still burning hot. The autumn evening breeze was chilly, but my whole body was uncomfortably warm. "Time to go." Ethan walked over. I looked up, our eyes met, and my heart fluttered. I quickly looked away. "Where's Chloe?" "She left," Ethan replied. "While you were daydreaming. My best friend, so reliable." I muttered. Ethan picked up my jacket. It's late. I'll walk you back. This time it wasn't a question but a statement. We walked in silence. I could smell the faint scent of coffee on him. Everything felt like a dream. I had so many questions, but I didn't know where to start. Some things, it seemed, had been in the works for a long time. Tracy. Ethan stopped and held something out to me. Do you still need your sketchbook? The moment he asked that, my legs felt weak. All my secret thoughts were now laid bare. My hand trembled as I took it. I do. Ethan suddenly continued. You're a great artist. I could only lightly hold the edge of the book. I couldn't take it and I could not take it. He had seen it. He must have seen everything. My terrible drawings, my fake clumsiness. I wanted to bury myself on the spot. How had he put up with me all this time without letting on? It's just okay, I said, desperate to change the subject. But Ethan wouldn't let me. I found out for the first time he was someone who liked to get to the bottom of things. Which part do you think is the best? He asked. What? I was confused. Ethan looked down at me, his Adam's apple bobbing. A moment later he repeated in a low voice. I want to know which moment of mine the girl I've liked for a year likes best. A year. Those words hit me like lightning. My heart pounded uncontrollably. A year. Mean you? I hesitated for a long time, then shook my head, flustered. I can't choose. He laughed, took my hand and kissed it. Then don't. All of Ethan is yours. That night, Ethan posted a message on his social media. The picture was the last page of the sketchbook, but this time it had his signature next to the T. The caption read, Found her. I remembered the please help me find the owner post I had made and put my hand to my face to cool it down. So he had been waiting all along. His public post made the university forum explode with screams, questions, and congratulations. My own social media was a mess of notifications. I had to go to the bathroom and wash my face to calm down. The person I had been secretly crushing on for so long actually liked me back. I picked up my phone and messaged Ethan, still not quite believing it. He called immediately. Are you still coming to the studio tomorrow? And blinked. He already knew why I had hired him. Why was he asking? You just said my skills are pretty good, right? Then I guess you don't need me anymore, he said. My girlfriend says she still can't believe it, so I think as a boyfriend, I need to make my presence known. Ethan paused, his voice filled with laughter. I'll be your exclusive model, no charge. Do you accept, Tracy? My face was as red as a tomato. I replied seriously. Ethan, are you ready to dedicate yourself to art? He let out a soft laugh. It would be my greatest honor.